630 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Gosh, the morning is going fast. And the year is going fast. It's already June 1st. So,
yeah.
So with June 1st, we enter the hurricane season. And this first week of June is also the tax-free hurricane, I guess you call it a tax-free holiday.
Yep.
Our local state government has said that you don't have to pay any sales tax if you're buying certain items that will help prepare you for a hurricane. I know there's a list somewhere, and I probably have it laying around here somewhere, but it's usually the things that you expect, batteries and flashlights and things like that,
Yep.
right?
And lanterns, tarps, radios, coolers, and generators. So we're set.
So Brad Kieserman is on the phone. He served as a commissioned officer for the United States Coast Guard, and he's the vice president of disaster operations and logistics for the American Red Cross, two organizations that we definitely turn to in our times of need. He has information regarding our preparation for the hurricane season. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Larry. I appreciate it.
Thank you for what you do, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. So what kind of advice would you give us?
Well, I think first of all, as today is the first day of Atlantic hurricane season, especially in your area where we've seen the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. I'd ask everybody, all of your listeners, to just think about it. If you had to give yourself a grade, pass or fail, how would you rate your own preparedness when Hurricane Irma hit last year on Sunday, September 10th, right? And so that everybody answers that question honestly. If you're not going to give yourself a high pass on that, probably a good opportunity now to get ready. And I think we're looking at a hurricane season that's going to be at or above average. And so I would take it seriously. All it takes is one, and it's time to get ready now.
I think one of the first things that we need to do is to look at what we live in. For those people who live in a mobile home, you might want to, you might want a generator, but you might want to prepare to get out of there. I wouldn't stick around just because you have a generator, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, and I think that goes to one of the key issues of getting ready, which is how are you going to be informed? How are you going to keep yourself informed? Are you going to use these mobile apps? You can download the Red Cross app or the FEMA app. The counties in your area have some fantastic emergency management apps that folks can download, and that tells folks when it's time to evacuate, what routes to take, where shelters are open. So FEMA has apps, the Weather Service. They don't take up a lot of real estate on your phone, and I think folks would find those really useful. So I think that's one. And then the other thing is you've got to have an authoritative source of information to help you understand when to evacuate. When local officials say it's time to go, you got to go. If you don't do that, you literally, not only could you be putting your own life and the lives of your family in jeopardy, you could be putting the lives of first responders in jeopardy who end up having to come in and undertake search and rescue. And it's just really important to abide by the direction of local and state officials who are giving really good guidance and direction about evacuation.
One of the things I heard this morning was that the officials have extended the amount of time for an official evacuation notice to 48 hours. I guess it used to be 36 hours. I don't know if that's that's 12 hours difference. That could make all the difference in the world.
Well, the thing is the tools that we have now that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, is using to do modeling and hurricane observations really gives all of us in emergency management some extra time. And time is the one thing you can almost never get back in a disaster. So if we can give people alert and warning, even 12 more hours, that can make the difference between life or death. So I think it is important for people to pay attention to those sources and understand that the forecasting is getting better, but the hurricane doesn't know the forecast, and the hurricane doesn't know that we've said it's going down a track. It will go where it goes. And so it's really important to follow those directions and keep yourself informed.
And it's very good to talk with your children about this, because then they can pack their own hurricane preparedness bag or backpack with whatever it is that they think they're going to need to weather out the storm to keep themselves entertained.
That's right. One of the most important things you can do is plan ahead for disasters, and that begins with talking with your family. And if you have children and they're at home with you, making sure that they have that bag packed as well, and that's got some things to keep them focused and sort of help mitigate some of the trauma, that they also, know where to go when the disaster strikes and understand what's happening. The other thing I would encourage folks is some of us have children in their late teens or who are young adults. My son is at college in Michigan. I use these apps to make sure I'm getting weather alerts for where he is so that I can prompt him to pay attention. Yeah. So I'd encourage all of you to not just, we have people all over the country. So
well,
please,
that's
attend to that.
I can relate to that. In 2016, when Hurricane Matthew was here, Robin was here, but I was up in New York, and so I was like glued to the Weather Channel. It's like, oh my gosh! And then when I call her, I said, no, it doesn't look as bad as it looks on TV. But yeah. It always looks that way, right? It always looks like it's a little bit worse. Do you know one thing I wanted to mention is also when the governor issues a state of emergency, a lot of times people will question why nothing's happened yet, but that's to prepare all the agencies so that there's everything's in place, isn't it?
That's right, and when the governors and the mayors and the and county executives issue their proclamations of emergency and states of emergency, that is often to open up the availability of certain funds that aren't otherwise available. It makes National Guard resources available. Mm-hmm. So folks should understand that when a chief executive issues those orders, they are anticipating a need to respond and they are getting ahead of the curve, and that's a very important. Larry, it's a great point that you make.
And we have a number of assisted living facilities down here. A number of people are retired. They need those facilities, but their growing children don't live in our state. So the growing children should be able to contact those facilities way in advance, like starting today, because this is the beginning of the season, to make sure that they have their own hurricane preparedness in place.
That's exactly right, Robin. And Florida has been in the lead in the movement for disability integration and providing assistance to folks who have disabilities, folks who are elderly, and really has been in the lead to make sure that services are available to the whole community. And so I think it's important for folks around the country who may have older family in Florida to engage just the way you said. This is a good time to make that plan, and that plan can include your neighbors, your family members, your community, and it's also a good time to take action. This is a time to have that kit, to get a list from ready.gov or redcross.org, have that duffel bag packed. Think about your medications. If you have to evacuate quickly, you're not going to start grabbing a bunch of bottles. It's probably good now to put 3 or 4 days worth of meds in a baggie or in a waterproof container and put that in your duffel bag, and you got it ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's stuff people don't think about.
Absolutely. Another thing we learned during Hurricane Irma was that when everybody's going to the gas pumps at once, those gas stations run out of gasoline. And I know the governor has put some stuff in place, but my suggestion, just do it yourself. Make sure you have a tank full. So
exactly.
Brad, thank you for
it's another great point is cash. More than nearly 50% of all Americans can't take an emergency hit of $450 to their budget without going into debt or not knowing how they're going to pay off the credit card they use. So if you can afford it and your lifestyle permits, having a couple $100 just ready to go somewhere safe can be very important in initiating recovery.
Good stuff. Yeah. Wow. That is one thing I would have forgotten to do. Brad, thank you for the reminder, and we'll put this up as a podcast so it can be repeated. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. It's the lowest monthly unemployment rate in 18 years.
The job market was stronger than expected in May. There were 223,000 new jobs.